My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only, and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. All right, the cockroaches acting in sync with one another. So as I capture images of what is my shadow appearing at a distance away from me, the terrorizing light activity, which is speaking to an unlawful threat posed by the government, keeping you under surveillance in what is a private space in concert with the people of the state who are in the shoes of the state, not private citizens. Those cockroaches are the ones that are stalking with amplified noise amongst what is impossible light under this supernatural environment, which is the fake sun that's over the same apartment building that it is as early as 6:33 in the morning, but as I captured earlier today, and it is 3:29 p.m. when you will see that, and just the ongoing impunity exhibited while you're monitoring inside of that private space, which is also what you will see reflected in those images, while the simultaneous amplified audible activity of a cockroach directly above in the apartment is pacing, just like the demon inside of the unit is pacing while accessing appliances that create audible and light activity, while aware of the fact that you are being documented for gang stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping. The government's not going to do that directly and vicariously like the people of the state are doing at Woodside Senior Apartments. And these co-defendants are in particular going to mental asylums. Unit 55, 5WB 715. The demon you see gang stalking under the 4 p.m. fake sun, and you see gang stalking while the entity is keeping that light source at 12:15, like you see on November 6, 2024, at 12:15, when it's over the same exact strip of sidewalk, but it's over the adjacent building, which is equally impossible and asinine under all circumstances. This is where cockroaches engage in pacing. This is where cockroaches engage in what is stalking in the path while they're monitoring. And the amplified pacing coincides with what is mine getting up off the couch and taking pictures of the terrorizing environment that remains around me, as I am also on the internet. Remember, this is federal stalking that they're also going to be prosecuted for, and they include the entire apartment complex, but this is the prosecution of the state. The demons at Woodside are all going to be prosecuted as an apartment complex, engaging in surveillance with the government, and the government has no warrant or probable cause or any constitutional grounds whatsoever to engage in gang stalking an American citizen. And that's why they're all losing their housing benefits. They will all be leaving literally the venue itself, and they will be prosecuted in addition to what is federal prison and mental asylums for the demons gang stalking in the way in which I'm narrating in units 33 through 64, and they're doing so with noted impunity. It's relevant to the diagnosis and the prosecution for the criminal pattern of conduct that the government is continuously engaging in, as the people of the state prove that. It is 3:31 p.m. Those images will be uploaded to the Google Drive. You will see me pointing up to the same east, north, and west directions where the fake sun rises and sets over me in this building. The entity is doing so with that ongoing obsession. That's what the impunity is relevant to. When you have gang stalking relatives, when you have gang stalking neighbors, when you have gang stalking local government, the obsession with myself, the target individual, it's going to be prosecuted as impunity. But that impunity is relevant to what is, again, inherent to stalking, which is obsession. And the demon-possessed that are obsessed and are monitoring are those who are indeed demon-possessed. That's the explanation behind this obsession with not only are you stalking, you're proven to be stalking, but you're still stalking while that evidence proving that you're stalking is now, it's not concealed and it's published. So why are you still stalking? This is what the spiritual truths that I've been telling you, that this is demonic activity, which you know based on the tangible evidence itself, but the behavior and the ongoing obsession is because they are demon possessed. This is indeed demonic activity, and it's pursuant to monitoring that's happening throughout the country. That obsession is being prosecuted. It's legally analyzed as impunity and malice, which is a threat to the life. It's maniacal. Okay, it's psychopathic. It's 3:32 p.m. Criminal interference with quiet enjoyment is relevant for the prosecution of AVANATH Capital Management. All right, they are being prosecuted as a gang stalking third party, profiting from, facilitating in a criminal manner what is surveillance with a population where it's residing at the facilitating venue, where your property is a facilitating venue, not a private residence, where the government is able and is engaging in using your property. You're going to be prosecuted, and I will be draining the pockets, because you're not going to profit from domestic terrorism and psychological torture like AVANATH Capital Management is, and its employees, including LYNDA Reyes, are going to federal prison. It's 3:32 p.m. It's Tuesday, May 27, 2025. This is relevant to federal stalking as well. While I am being molested, while the third party that resides in this unit is opening and closing the front door, impossible light activity is molesting my person. This is ongoing harassment of a satanic nature, very demented means of harassment. The demon-possessed engage in retaliatory acts with impossible light and with amplified noise. They're very psychotic. Very sick, very depraved. These degenerates are life-size, walking, upright, walking cockroaches. Some of them lean over on walkers and canes, but they're cockroaches all the same. These are the demon-possessed, and they engage in their demonic pattern of conduct also when they are communicating an unlawful threat, because that's how that demonic pattern of conduct is going to be analyzed in order to prosecute the psychopaths that are walking around without the adequate labels in criminal records in order to appropriately categorize them in American society and put them in facilities where they belong. It's currently 3:33 p.m. This is P.O.C. at Woodside Senior Apartments. All right, documentation speaking to stalking and terrorizing and harassing me and psychologically torturing me with impossible light activity, like I just described, is the pattern of conduct of the very heavily documented. Not only the Los Angeles Police Department, the demon inside of this unit, Tracy Banks, who is inside of the unit while the phenomenon of impossible light activity is occurring inside of her unit on her bedroom door. At the same time that I'm on the video of the internet, and you will see what it is that I'm looking at, which the demons are keeping under surveillance, which is why the demon inside of this apartment and all her co-defendants in the building and the adjacent building are going to federal prison and mental asylums. With regard to the video documentation, take a look at it yourself to see what the demons are triggered by while they are admittedly engaging in federal stalking and gang stalking me in relevant position. The timestamp of the video of the Ontario Police that is going to be disbanded is engaging in criminal summoning, which is an offense committed by the City of Ontario by the to be disbanded Ontario Police. It's documented on 2024 11/13 12/0007 at 12 p.m. and 7 seconds. You will see this video, which I am juxtaposing with gang stalking that's happening in Diamond Bar, California, where you are understanding the public corruption by the entire state of California that is gang stalking, and it is demonic. These are the demons of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the demons of the Ontario Police Department providing evidence against the people of the state, demon-possessed, gang stalking with that corrupt entity. The video that I am juxtaposing with Ontario Police gang stalking at 12 p.m. on November 13, 2024. The timestamp of the entity in Diamond Bar, California is 2024 11/17 at 11:55 and 35 seconds. That is on November 17, 2024 at 11:55 a.m. in a video that is 6 minutes and 38 seconds long, meaning 12 p.m. Beginning at 11:55 a.m., negligible difference. It's the same time, even as I go beyond 12 p.m. in the course of this video, where the entity is harassing me while keeping me under surveillance, just like the stalking with light activity inside of this apartment proves, and which is a documented pattern of conduct. The entity engages in what is harassment while they're engaging in surveillance even of evidence against itself, which is why people are going to prison. The demon-possessed are going to mental asylums. And so while I'm juxtaposing these videos on the YouTube channel, you will see what I'm taking pictures of it, because remember, everything, while the entity is obsessed with me and stalking me, and I'm prosecuting stalkers, they're so obsessed that they continuously engage in it. And that's where you're getting to the diagnosis of the stalkers. But nonetheless, the entity is stalking with impossible light is across the bedroom door. That is inside of this apartment, which is inside of the building where the fake sun is captured this morning, as I took images of for you to see for yourself, where I am capturing the light source at what is 10:58 a.m. and it's over the same apartment building as I'm capturing it at 3:27 p.m. And this is in amongst that supernatural phenomenon is where you're identifying stalking as an entity, and you've already seen the Ontario Police fly circles over me while this fake sun is remaining over me. This is the identification of corrupt law enforcement agencies like the Ontario Police, who are not alone in targeting me. This is a statewide pattern of conduct which is criminal and satanic, and it is that which is shared with the people of the state, who are equally demon possessed and malicious and very mentally disturbed and depraved. 4:35 p.m. is the current time right now, and in the image with regard to documenting criminal interference with quiet enjoyment via impossible light, stalking me with light is entirely demonic, and it's also a staple with regard to domestic terrorism, where you are under surveillance. And that's criminal. The entity is keeping me under surveillance also for purposes of what is murder and kidnapping. Remember, the Ontario Police that's gang stalking, as I juxtapose their criminal conduct, their corrupt conduct with the people of the state and the specific environment on November 13, 2024, is juxtaposed with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department at the same time of year, November 17, 2024, at around the same time, 11:55 and 12 p.m. This is the Ontario Police Department. This is the state that commits kidnapping as an entity, meaning it's not the city of Ontario that's merely kidnapping me. It's the U.S. government that's kidnapping me, while the state of California engages in the U.S. government's criminal pattern of conduct. And why is it federal? Because first of all, the state government is engaging in federal stalking. Second of all, because the pattern of conduct is occurring with regard to federal stalking in concert with the people of the state. This is implicating federal law pursuant to Title 18 surveillance. And it's also documented as I go from California to Nevada. This is interstate commerce with regard to surveillance. This is going from state to state. The entity is implicating federal law, and the entity is also doing so while I am reporting, but while the entity is engaging in what is kidnapping as an entity, the specific environment is letting you know what's happening throughout this country, because the specific environment is supernatural. So in other words, as the fake sun is remaining over me, the fake sun is speaking to what is necessarily not the natural environment over you, because there is only one sun. Lord God created one sun, and Satan's demonic imitation, the satanic duplication of the natural environment, is proven in what is the sun that's sitting over this apartment, even as I document again today, from what is again 10:58 a.m. until 3:27 p.m. And you already know that the fake sun is over this building as early as 6:33 in the morning and as late as 6:18 p.m. There is no natural environment where anyone else in the country is sharing the presence of the sun over you. And the demon possessed throughout the country are also aware of who I am and what it is that I'm exposing about all of them, while this satanic, this supernatural and criminal pattern of conduct is being exposed through my documentation, which the entity has also gone to the extent to suppress, discriminate against, harass me for, kidnap me in order to obstruct justice, but also to criminally defame my character so that you don't listen. But like, again, I want to be clear, the entity's tactic with regard to criminal defamation presupposes that the evidence does not stand alone by itself, which it does. So there is no defamation that's going to silence the power of evidence that everyone can see of the sun sitting over the apartment building for 5 hours. And of the documentation of the sun sitting over the apartment building for in excess of 12 hours. No means of name calling and what is defamation serving a criminal purpose, hence criminal defamation, is going to rebut that probative evidence, which is going to prosecute for kidnapping. Okay? Remember, the Ontario Police is kidnapping while they're gang stalking me at Woodside Senior Apartments and while they're gang stalking me throughout the city of Ontario, which I'm juxtaposing in these two videos. And as I make that connection on YouTube, where ongoing surveillance is underway, not only while they're keeping me under surveillance in the specific environment at Woodside and I'm on the internet, literally we are being monitored online. Ads are tailored to you. Everything that you're doing on the internet is not private to you. You are under surveillance. You're being monitored online. Okay. And while I am subject to that criminal conduct, which I'm enforcing my rights for against, the entity engages what is stalking with light across the defendant Tracy Banks's bedroom door, and that's directly probative of the defendant's mental illness as well. It is 4:39 p.m. This is P.O.C. with regard to criminal interference with quiet enjoyment, which Daryl J. Carter, AVANATH Capital Management, and AVANATH Capital Management's employees are going to be prosecuted for civilly and criminally. P.O.C. Alrighty, currently 5:12 p.m. I want to make sure that I document the psychopath by name who's conspiring the murder of her own daughter, relative, the people of the state gang stalking those whom you're in any sort of relationship with, be it professional, personal, familial. You're going to be prosecuted. Even being in the neighborhood and you don't personally know them, the entity is engaging what is an intolerable level of malice as it's exhibited. And Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, is the psychopath that is gang stalking and doing so with the psychopaths that are gang stalking with her, all over 55, all government beneficiaries, meaning they can't pay their rent. These are elderly people who are living off of government resources, engage in criminal conduct with the government, and they're also doing so for the petty reasons because the demons, who are violent sex offenders, obsessed with my vagina, obsessively consumed with everything that I do, eat, say, every move that I make, and they're hostile because the demon possessed are being exposed as such, which is again the delusional psychopath that's going to be both diagnosed and prosecuted with the evidence of the P.O.C. Those demons that are gang stalking in the building where you'll see the fake sun captured in an image that I took at what is you'll see screenshots of the light source as I'm juxtaposing it with what's captured at 10:58 a.m. The demon is gang stalking under the fake sun. I captured at 3:27 p.m. and I captured Tracy Banks gang stalking by pacing. This demon is pacing by walking in and out of the apartment with what is engineer light, molesting me with engineer light. This is a pedophile that's being a sex offender while molesting with impossible light activity as well. And she's doing so under what is the fake sun that is captured at what is 4:43 p.m. So 5:12 p.m., 5:13 p.m. is the current time. The demons are stalked with amplified noise. The mental illness of demons such as 5WB715 is thereby demonstrated while you're stalking someone and harassing and seeking to psychologically torture them with a demonic means of stalking in the first place. It's audible noise. The stalking is something that is on its face, irreconcilable with what's going on. It's just loud noise. The loud noise is relevant to the impossible light, the engineer light, which is how monitoring pursuant to surveillance is underway, and it's entirely psychopathic while the demon-possessed do that. The demon-possessed license plates that I'm showing you engaging in what is very psychopathic as well, stalking in the path while you're looking at multiple shadows inside of the apartment. These are the demons who are exhibiting mental illness as well, while they're documented, and the demons engage in what is an ongoing pattern of failing and what is a vacuous effort as some sort of retaliation because they're documenting. These are demons, but these demons are already fully exposed. They're going to prison. They're not winning anything. But understand the defeated and the feckless efforts of psychopaths who engage in what is a campaign of very demented conduct to monitor. And monitor is for purposes of psychological torture. And these demons are tortured and tormented with the notion, the fact actually, that they are exposed and that there are actual consequences in the 3D, like in the natural, while they're spiritually attacking and engaging in what is gang stalking, which is again a demonic activity. The amplified noise is pursuant to the mental illness that's exhibited by the Latino male gang stalking associated with unit number 41, license 9 Larry Jack King 101. Unit 41, that's his license plate. The mental illness is exhibited by the impossible light activity, the maintenance of the fake sun over me at the apartment complex, the amplified audible noise inside of the apartment as I document him, and he also does so while they're remaining in unit number 41, license 9 Charlie Zebra Charlie 059. Again, a very obsessed sex offender, obsessed with my vagina, while he is living with a woman who he has procreated and made 2 minor children with, and those minor children are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is why he's losing custody. Him and his baby mama are going to mental asylums, and their mental illness is exhibited while they're stalking me and harassing with amplified noise because I'm documenting, and it is very specific and unique to them, and it's the same legal analysis because all of the demons are engaging in what is keeping my evidence under surveillance while they're keeping me under surveillance. And then you're getting to the police department in the city that's going to be disbanded for repeatedly kidnapping upon gang stalking me with the very demon-possessed entity that I'm documenting. The mayor that's a gang stalker, Paul Leon, who's being removed and whose mental illness you are also aware of, while stalking and monitoring with the people of the state who share in the same exact pattern of conduct, which is also proven because every function of the city of Ontario is gang stalking. It's serving this system. The mental illness is exhibited while demons use amplified noise pursuant to some sort of psychotic means of communicating hostility. It's accomplishing monitoring. It's audible activity and engineer light while you're stalking in the path, and you are stalking where you live another person that could not be. I could not be less interested in these demons who are obsessed with me. I'm documenting because they are threatening and stalking me together as an entity, and so I will make it my business, and everyone else will be apprised of what are the psychopaths who are going to prison and mental asylums. The demons in units 33 through 64, which includes the demon in unit number 55, license 5WB 715. The entity is gang stalking while LYNDA Reyes and the employees of AVANATH Capital Management. The other employee of Unit 41, he's an employee of AVANATH Capital Management. His license is 9 Apple Charlie Sam 305 and 22547 Thomas 1. I have seen him, documented him exercising control of the vehicles representing both of those license plates. He is an AVANATH employee. He's going to a mental asylum, and he is being documented and acting with impunity with the same entity, while his mental illness is also being documented for purposes of the sick mind, the mental health that's brought right into the center of the controversy when you are going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism and psychological torture, gang stalking an American citizen. And they didn't just do it to any American citizen. They did it to their own federal prosecutor. This is speaking to how delusional, how obsessed, how psychopathic, all right, the demon-possessed are. Now, the reason why I want to capture this, the entity's repeatedly sounding amplified noise is 518. So as I start recording, amplified noise is sounding immediately before 5:12 p.m., 5:13 p.m., 5:15 p.m., and again at 5:17 p.m., maintaining an ongoing course of amplified noise while Tracy Banks is on her communication device, which I've already shown, and the entity has already proven to be using communication devices to engage in the elements of monitoring, and it's also relevant to what is surveillance. Merely use of your phone and the engineer light is pursuant to gang stalking. So I want to be clear on that, but the demon is using her communication device, 909, 890-7160. The people of the state are calling in order to monitor me. They are monitoring with amplified noise. They're engaging in harassment. They're stalking in violation of the Violence Against Women Act with the people of the state. They're engaging with impunity and malice. They are engaging in what is monitoring with the intent to obstruct justice. The people of the state that are calling on her phone that are going to be prosecuted. In addition to that, the demon is particularly malicious. This is where you will pay attention to a lot of my tactics with regard to dealing with the psychopath that is Tracy Banks. You will hear her speaking to me if she's not actually monitoring me with a conversation. When she's focused on me while she's on the surface appearing to be engaged in a conversation. This is a psychopath that's obsessively consumed with my vagina and consumed with everything that I do, including as I document the demon possessed, which is the entity that she is a part of. When you hear her referring to me and you don't hear me respond, I'm dealing with a psychopath that is very delusional as well. Again, telling herself every day that this is not happening, that nobody sees anything, that she looks normal and healthy, that she doesn't look like the maniacal psychopath perfectly capable of conspiring my murder and criminally defaming me in order to steal my intellectual property and misrepresent it as her creation, while she also then criminally defames me while I'm documenting her engaging in it. But nonetheless, aside from that, when you hear Tracy Banks referring to me in my documentation, when she knows she's being documented as well, and you don't hear me respond to her, she asks a question and you hear me not answering, when she makes comments and I don't respond to her because she's monitoring, and the reason why I do that is because I'm dealing with a psychopath. I'm dealing with a highly malicious psychopath who is only harming herself. So, but nonetheless, the reason why I'm bringing that up to you is because this is exactly the reason why when you're dealing with Satan, when you're dealing with a demonic spirit, this person is walking out of her bedroom telling me about something that she's viewing on the news, and while she's doing this, the entity is maintaining impossible light activity as she paces, because you're not walking out of your room talking to me about, oh my goodness, this is so interesting. Isn't this crazy what I just saw in the news? No, she's actually crazy. And it's audible activity in the engineer light while the fake sun is sitting over this apartment building, while the demons are stalking with amplified noise right now as I'm documenting it. But moments before, Tracy Banks walks out reciting information about what she's viewing on the news, which is nothing other than a guise for monitoring me. And it's very psychopathic to, in your mind, think about, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to just act like I'm talking about what I just saw, which is interesting. And then as I walk back, then the engineer light is going to go. This is, of course, these demons don't use intellectual phrases like engineered light, okay? But nonetheless, it's the iteration of the P.O.C. This demon literally thinks about that and then executes it, and you're doing that just to monitor me, and you're doing it to your daughter. The sickness, there's multiple levels of sickness there, and the fact that she's doing it with a whole bunch of other people, and this is someone that would like to be identified and associated with what is a maternal figure, a mother. She's not a mother of her demon-possessed gang-stalking son, Eric, Corey Spencer, who's going to federal prison, and she's not a mother of me, the target individual who was prosecuting her. But nonetheless, she walks outside of her bedroom telling me about some tragic story on the news, and as she walks back into her bedroom, this is where engineer light travels across the bedroom door. And this is, again, as I pick up my phone and begin documenting, which is demonic. And I've already proven what's going on inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. In addition to that, her co-defendants are also stalking, engaging in what is very psychopathic monitoring conduct with the government, while the moment that I pick up my phone and begin documenting, like I recited at 5:11, 5:12, 5:17, 5:18, the ongoing chorus of amplified audible activity, noise, booming noise, boom, which is pursuant to monitoring, where the sun sits over all of the defendants who are all going to prison. Very obvious while they're engaging in the criminal conduct, it is literally, where's the fake sun? Everybody under it's going to prison. It's as I kid you not, it's that simple. And they are engaging in that pattern of conduct with knowledge of the fact. And so you're understanding the overinflated egos of the demon possessed, who at one point in time, and they are still delusional, even telling themselves that they're capable, that they're intelligent, that they're powerful because they have millions of them versus one. And I am not by myself. It is Christ Jesus that exposed them as the demons that they are. It's Christ Jesus that exposed their criminal conduct in order that they not only be judged for engaging in what is wicked, but also judged for engaging what is criminal. And that's the ability to provide a body of evidence proving with tangible evidence that anyone can see and listen to with their own eyes and ears, and which is not reasonably disregarded. Only the demon possessed, only the delusional psychopath disregards the evidence of the pattern of conduct. And those are the the demons that are still gang stalking when they are going straight to prison and mental asylums. It includes LYNDA Reyes, and it includes the demons in units 33 through 64. They are engaging in this pattern of conduct with Tracy Banks, who walks in and out of her bedroom, which is pacing, while Engineer Light moves across her bedroom door after she tells me what was so interesting on the news with regard to audible activity in my path, and all the demons are sitting around monitoring her daughter with her. The mindset of each and every demon at Woodside Senior Apartments, all 144 units, are going to be prosecuted. They're all stalking violence in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. They're all engaging in what is psychological torture, that's technical abuse in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. They're all engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, which is stalking, also in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. And they're all doing so while they are engaged in federal stalking as well. The entity is acting with a life-threatening level of malice and impunity, meaning your obsession with me is an unlawful threat posed by the government. The entity is doing so, again, license 5WB715. I want to make sure I focus on the demons, license 9ACS 305, license 22547T1, license 5WB715, that's unit 55, who is again at 5:25 p.m. The amplified audible activity is occurring where I'm at, which is where the fake sun is as well, sitting over the building all day long over me, which is where the amplified noise is happening. And doing so while I read license plates. License 9CZC059, gang stalking, and doing so with regard to the demons that are documented in images, and then the entity engages in what is the ongoing P.O.C. Not only are each of them, every license plate that I just read, they're all going to mental asylums. Unit 55, the demon inside of this unit, Tracy Banks. Unit 51, the demons in units 41. All 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adults. There's an overweight Latina female that I've documented as well. She's going to a mental asylum. Wherever she lives, she's going to a mental asylum. But all of these license plates, they're all representing the people. They're all going to mental asylums in particular. The demons in units 33 through 64 are going to federal prison. They are doing so while they are engaging in what is federal stalking and gang stalking, terrorism, domestic terrorism with the Ontario Police Department. That flies over my head, where you're seeing the fake sun over this apartment building at 3:27 in the afternoon, when you're seeing it over the same apartment building at what is 4 in the afternoon. Let me give you the specific time frame where the people of the state are providing evidence against their co-defendant, the Ontario Police that's going to be prosecuted, and the Ontario Police, which is the state that provides evidence against its co-defendant, the people of the state. 4:43 p.m. is the apartment building, where you are aware of what the entity is doing by helicopter. At 5:40 p.m. on May 16, 2025, gang stalking with the psychopath Tracy Banks inside of the apartment. And at 10:54 a.m., where the Ontario Police is gang stalking me, where you are seeing the fake sun over my head at the same exact apartment building where the demons are gang stalking with the same entity, the people of the state. And all the license plate that I just read, those particular demons are all subject to mental asylum based on the character of the evidence that I've documented them while they're monitoring me. They are obviously demonstrating a high level of mental disturbance, and that's going to be at the forefront of their prosecution, like you would prosecute any stalker who's exhibiting the needfulness for mental examinations and placement in a facility where they cannot be a threat to themselves and other people. In addition to that, this is what the Ontario Police Department is doing through the mentally ill, and they share that same mental illness. That's why they're stalking an American citizen who's prosecuting them for it in things like helicopters. That's why they're using the resources of a police department to keep a law-abiding citizen, a very capable American citizen, under surveillance. And why? Because they are obsessed, and their obsession as a police department is because they're demons. And their demon possession is relevant to their corruption and their criminal engagement with the mentally ill, which is exposing that police department as mentally ill as well. And the evidence of the Ontario Police Department is demonstrating their mental illness when they're engaging what is the use of their vehicle lights, the use of helicopters under the fake sun. Those are the police departments that are demonstrating demon possession. And the demon possessed that stalk with amplified audible activity, the demon possessed that stalk with impossible light activity, the demon possessed that pace around under a fake sun, because that's all you're doing. You're not driving, going to a particular destination. You are a demon-possessed entity that's maintaining perpetual presence through one vehicle after another, after another, after another. You are pacing on foot. They're not pedestrians just going to one destination. You're one demon after another, after another, after another, maintaining presence in that engineered light, because that's also not the sun that's sitting over the apartment building for 11 hours. Neither are the entity engaging in anything other than stalking me pursuant to that ongoing obsessive engagement. What is activity creation pursuant to surveillance by a mentally ill i.e. demon-possessed population. Okay, it's 5:28 p.m. I wanted to go through that iteration of the P.O.C. This is why you very often hear me documenting the entity and not acknowledging questions that the demon asks me, or not laughing at a joke that the demon is making while the demon is monitoring, and the demon is Tracy Banks. The demon's mental illness is exhibited while her co-defendant is obsessively pacing above me in the living room, where you saw my shadows upright on that living room wall, where I'm standing in the shade. There's no sunlight underneath the patio structure. There's no sunlight that's coming from the sun that's on the ground that would be aiming toward me, that would create my shadow under any circumstances in front of me, upright on the living room wall. That demon that's pacing inside of Unit 55 is demonstrating mental illness that's shared by Tracy Banks while they engage in the same exact pattern of conduct. Those demons are manifesting based on the frustration, the hostility toward being exposed as demons, toward being exposed as stalkers, towards being exposed and actually identified as the mentally ill population that seeks to criminally defame the targeted individual. And that is what is also going to serve to change the laws, where the U.S. government is engaging in one is the inhumane experimentation on American citizens and then falsely depicting their character and also taking their liberty, putting them in facilities where they are kept against their will, and they aren't mentally ill whatsoever. Justice is going to include the mentally ill, which are a part of the police department. They're a part of the local government in Ontario. They're a part of the elderly community. They are living and working in at Woodside Senior Apartments, and they have been documented for years. They're going to mental asylums, and that's what justice is going to entail with regard to the prosecution of the state of California. Daryl J. Carter and AVANATH Capital Management is inundated with evidence speaking to the inevitable prosecution, civil and criminal, for the company itself. I'm going to prosecute the company, and I'm also going to prosecute the people of the state, because that's what their identity as a third party that's engaging in gang stalking with the residents, gang stalking with the population, gang stalking with the city of Ontario, gang stalking with the employees, and they are engaging in the ongoing obsessive engagement and monitoring with also the intent to obstruct justice. And that's why you have impossible light activity moving across Tracy Banks' bedroom door. That's why you have amplified noise focused on and remaining over me in the living room where I'm positioned on the couch. That's why you have a fake sun sitting over the apartment building, as I've documented, from sunrise until sunset. That's why you have the demons engaging in what are very disturbing and psychopathic means of stalking me. Well, and remember, it's psychopathic not only because of their pattern of monitoring, but because their pattern is underway while they're keeping evidence against them under surveillance. So you're stalking when you know that you're being proven as a stalker. That's a whole other level of psychopathic behavior, which is a threat to me, and I'm going to prosecute for that as well. It is currently 5:31 p.m. The demon in Unit 55 is stalking with audible noise, which is supernatural. This is a demon, and her demon possession is proven through that amplification of what is not going to be heard while you're walking. Nonetheless, pacing, that pacing behavior is going to be noted with regard to her prosecution, but nonetheless, pacing, which is amplified, that's a demon that's monitoring in the above unit, and it's shared by all of the co-defendants who are going to prison for it, units 33 through 64. They're all going to prison and mental asylums. And this is Tracy Banks' ongoing obsessive endeavor and what is a failed effort at seeking to criminally defame my character, steal from me, and then also ultimately accomplish murder. Remember, Tracy Banks, she didn't want me to just be seen as some sort of paranoid schizophrenic. She wanted my life to be taken once I was kidnapped by the same corrupt government. This is the purpose of a mother gang stalking her own child. No, I'm not a child. Actually, I'm a grown woman, a grown, fully capable woman, but I am the person that she gave birth to. And in that regard, it's totally inhumane. Where do you get that inhumanity from? Because it's a demon. So this is why I treat that spirit in the way that I do. You hear her asking me questions when I'm documenting. That's why I don't respond to it, because the demon is monitoring. It's 5:32 p.m. This is P.O.C. Also to note, I always like to point out what the demons are triggered by. They're triggered by my existence. They're triggered by the reality and the deity of Christ Jesus himself. They're triggered by the Holy Spirit that dwells within me, but they are also triggered by the documentation, which is serving to prosecute and expose them based on, because this is the wicked, this is Satan himself who is lost, Satan that's delusional. Satan knows about the fact that he's already been sentenced to what is eternal damnation, but Satan, again, again, mental illness is coming from what is a spirit. And that Satan, which is delusional with regard to trying in an effort that is not going to succeed against Christ Jesus. But remember, Christ Jesus, who was on the throne, permits Satan to only go so far. So Satan is doing what Satan is permitted to do, and Satan deceives those whom he is using. And that delusional spirit is which is demonic. And that's where this mental illness that is manifested in their pattern of conduct is being shown and being demonstrated. And I want to be clear, the demons are triggered also by the evidence, which is exposing them. The evidence is going to be seen on my, not only on my YouTube channel where you can view the videos, but it's also on my website, the P.O.C website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com. And you would go to the documentation tab, and then you would go to the state of California is group stalking, and then you go all the way down to the bottom where you will see the people of the state. And at the people of the state on that page, you will see all of the video evidence that I am still adding to, all of the evidence of the and examples of what is the terrorism, the domestic terrorism, the physical violence, the harassment, the threats, the intimidation tactics, the psychological torture tactics by the demon-possessed, the people of the state that are gang stalking with the government. And they are in the shoes of the government. They're not individual private citizens. They're being prosecuted. It's the government that's engaging in public corruption. But this is what I'm uploading, this is what I'm updating on my website, and it's what I'm updating. There is also a playlist that is published on YouTube, and it is referred to as under the same name, Federal Group Stalking and Monitoring, and it is the entity that is documented, hold on, the name of the particular playlist so you can find it on YouTube. Federal Group Stalking and Monitoring by the public entity in concert with the people of the state. Harassment, psychological torture, violence, and intimidation. This is a playlist, and it has 40 videos where you'll see examples of the people of the state who are proving through their violence, through their tactics, that this is also evidence of them gang stalking me. Okay, so this is a playlist, and it's also relevant because I'm going to prosecute the government for this. It's all state action, and the people of the state that engage in it, I'm going to prosecute them as well. But you're prosecuting an entity. You're prosecuting for the conspiracy and the execution of that conspiracy, and that conspiracy is embodied within that which is existing between the government proper and the government that's acting vicariously through the people of the state. And that video evidence is not only my intellectual property, but it's evidence to prosecute for the inhumanity of gang stalking me in the first place and all of the harm suffered, which is merely an example demonstrative of the demons that are targeting American citizens. It is currently 5:36 p.m. and I wanted to make sure I give you insight about what the demons are triggered by. You can see that playlist on my website at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com, and you can also see it on my YouTube channel, and it is the P.O.C. And I believe the handle is This Is the P.O.C. All right. It is currently 5:36 p.m. Again, starting recording at approximately 5:12 p.m. So this is documentation of what is That would be about 25 minutes. Yeah, that's 25 minutes of documented psychological torture, the ongoing incessant means of amplified audible activity, which is criminally interfering with quiet enjoyment. And then don't forget, when the demon is harassing me, Tracy Banks, with regard to my voice, my speaking voice, when I'm documenting things like, oh, I don't know, the Los Angeles Police Department gang stalking me by flying in circles for 47 minutes outside of my apartment. But the demon is not bothered by the ongoing amplification of the ceiling cracking, which is not evidence that it's not happening. It is evidence of what is malice and engagement in that pattern of conduct. So she also doesn't notice that the sun remains over her apartment building all day long. She also doesn't notice that light is appearing and moving across her ceilings and her cabinets inside of her apartment. She also doesn't notice that the shadow of her person appears above her head. She also doesn't notice that sunlight pierces through her peephole onto the kitchen wall when she's walking through it, monitoring me, because she's engaging in that pattern of conduct. That's malice on its face. It's currently 5:38 p.m. Documentation of what is ongoing psychological torture in the form of what is criminal interference with quiet enjoyment. The demons in units 33 through 64 who are going to prison for that. The entity that's engaging in psychological torture through amplified, audible, noisy, ongoing amplification of the ceilings and the walls like they're cracking as I document the stalkers themselves. And this is all state action. This is why the city of Ontario is going to be plucked out of position. That those public officials in position, they're being removed as I'm documenting them monitoring me with the elderly community at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is P.O.C. All right, documentation. It's 5:55 p.m. In case you did not know that the electricity company and wherever you reside is monitoring you. It's monitoring American citizens. And the light in the living room is used as light activity. As the light in the living room begins flickering every time I touch my phone screen, which just happens to be for purposes of processing my podcast. So while I go through the process of making the podcast in order to upload it online, the light in the living room begins flickering, and it goes 5 separate times every time I touch my phone. And this is light activity creation. And Edison, in case you did not know, is the particular company that is maintaining quote unquote control. This is demonic, okay? But nonetheless, Edison is the company that is paid for the electricity that's provided to maintain light inside of the apartment. That's who, the utility company. But this is demonic, and it's also speaking to the control of the light. And in case you did not know, Edison is a gang stalker. I've documented them on the roads and the highways, and I've documented them under the fake sun, using the trucks as light activity, documenting them gang stalking with the city, but also the use of the light inside of the apartment with regard to blinking at the same time I touch my phone screen as I process my podcast audio documentation. That's the P.O.C. and it's demonic. But just as an aside, it's just a reminder in case you did not know, you're being monitored by everyone and everything, and it's demonic with regard to the elements of monitoring. So using any and everything, in other words, to create light activity, and where engineered light is touching everything, covering everything, presence in that environment is how you're monitoring. Even while you are physically by yourself and you're being molested, surrounded with it as you move around, it is creating light activity. And then the demons are surrounding you, monitoring. All right. The demons are also engaging in pacing all around while they're monitoring as well. And the entity is doing so with regard to criminal interference with quiet enjoyment, while the lights inside of a private space are used to monitor you. In the same way when the demons do that with the television, in the same way that the entity does so when impossible light flies through the apartment and sits on the ceilings, terrorizing and psychologically torturing the target individual. In the same way that the demons that stalk with amplified audible activity, and also engages in what is monitoring through sensational activity, like you're having an isolated earthquake. These are what the demons use in order to psychologically torture, to harass as an entity while they're monitoring you. And the demons are doing so with me because they are particularly perturbed because I'm exposing them as the demons that they are, right? And also because I'm educating on how you can prosecute as well. You can enforce your rights as well, but because I'm prosecuting them. But it is currently 5:57 p.m. I just want to document that light activity inside of the apartment as I'm in use of my communication device. That's federal stalking that everybody is being prosecuted for. The same defendants, P.O.C.